Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you my SpongeBob review for every Monday, my weekly SpongeBob review that I do every Monday. If you want to check out the others, they're on this playlist in this video called Spongebob Squarepants videos, and you can check them all. Now I'm starting season 2 today. I watched it last night. I didn't get it in because I had nothing, I had nothing better to do, and now I finished it. And I didn't get a chance to review it because I had to do something else last night. So I'm reviewing it now. So let's get into it. It starts out. Well, this episode, season 2, episode 1. It's the beginning of the season 2, so that's obviously it's episode 1. And it kicks off with it's called Your Shoes Are Untied, and well, it's something like that. Your shoes untied, your shoes are untied. It's something like that. And the date I'm not really gonna give because on Wikipedia it's wrong because it goes from like November to October, so I don't really get that. So I'm not really gonna give a date for this. I might not even do that for the Walking Dead videos and the Breaking Bad videos anymore. But I think this came out sometime around 2000 to 2001 time. This season's 2000 2001 ish. And what happens is, I'm just trying to crack my fingers. So SpongeBob's watching TV, and he's watching some show that, like, man, I guess doesn't watch. It's I think it looks like coral dancing around. It's this plant, and I know I've seen this plant before, but I don't know the name of it. And it's just dancing around, and Gary catches him watching it, and SpongeBob's like, Gary! So then he changes the channel, and he's like, I was just looking for the sports channel, and it was a football game between the New England Patriots and I think it was the New York Giants, but I'm not exactly sure because I don't watch football. And it was all this big lie, and then Patrick comes in, shows SpongeBob his new shoes. And SpongeBob's like, let's see what they look like on your feet. So Patrick's like, what did you rather see them on? My hands. And he actually puts them on his hands. And then SpongeBob's like, that's a good idea. We can wear gloves on our feet and hats on our captain quarters too, which means their ass. They call the ass the captain quarters. I don't know why, but they do. And Patrick reveals a secret that he doesn't know how to tie his shoelaces. And SpongeBob's like, oh, you come to the right place, because I know how to tie my shoelaces. Look at this knot. You've ever seen like a perfect knot? I learned when I was just a boy, so have a seat over there, and I will show my expertise to you. And he's like, okay. Then he unties his shoe, and SpongeBob's like, and SpongeBob realizes he doesn't know how to tie his shoes. So then Patrick's like, are you sure you don't know? Are you sure you know how to do it? And SpongeBob's like, well, I guess you don't want me to show you how to do it. And Patrick's like, I'm sorry, I won't interrupt anymore. And then SpongeBob's like, always start with your right foot. So I guess he tried, but I don't really think it matters what foot you start on, as long as you tie your shoe, I guess. So he ties his shoe, and he keeps failing each time. It keeps coming undone. At one point, he actually, I think, tied a knot around his hands, and it was all going wacky. And SpongeBob, Patrick's like, what was that? You alright? And SpongeBob's like, Patrick, aren't you late for something? And Patrick's like, oh, poop deck, you're right. And he believes him. I don't know why he believed him, but he did because he's an idiot, unless he was really late for something, but he probably wasn't. I think Patrick just fell for the trick. And SpongeBob's like, I can't believe I forgot how to tie my own shoes. They've been tied for as long as I can remember. And then it shows him, like, I guess inside his mom's stomach, but he's inside like an egg. It didn't really look like an egg. It looked more like the fin that the caterpillars go in when they are gonna become butterflies. I forget what it's called, but you know what I'm saying. And his shoes he was wearing shoes and they're still tied, so that was good stuff. And then he's like, I'll remember after a good night's sleep. So then the next day, when his alarm clock goes off, he still doesn't remember. So SpongeBob's like, I'll remember sooner or later. So then he goes to do to work, and normally when he goes to work, he likes to say, "I'm ready." He normally says that when it's like his big catchphrase. And this time when he goes to say it, and he can't really finish saying it, he trips and falls. He's like, "I'm ready," and then he would fall. And when he finally gets to the Krusty Krab, Patrick's there eating a Krabby Patty, and he still has his shoes on his hands for some reason. Don't know why, but he does. Um, and Patrick's like, and Patrick sees him, and SpongeBob doesn't want Patrick to know that he still hasn't tied his shoes, so he like stomps his foot down into the ground, into the Krusty Krab, and breaks the floor. Um, and Patrick's like, "Hey SpongeBob, you're shorter. Have you been dieting?" Because I guess he thinks when you go on a diet you get shorter, which isn't the case. I don't really think you can get shorter. I think you can only get taller. I think he thinks that, but really, the only way when you go on a diet you lose weight, not height. But it was all that was kind of strange that he said that. But he asked if he's been dieting, and SpongeBob's like, "Oh, a sponge has to look as spongy as," and then he kind of walks, saying he has to get to work, and he kind of like scrapes, and he like makes like a line of trail of like where he's broken the floor all the way to the kitchen, and he's like, and he falls face first and eats shit. And he's like, "Oh," and when he got in there were like two customers that were looking at SpongeBob kind of strange, which was funny. And he's like, "Oh, barnacles, why can't I just lay here?" And Squidward's like, "Those patties aren't gonna cook themselves, SpongeBob." Um, and SpongeBob's like, "He's right. I gotta make these Krabby Patties laces or no laces." And he crawls to the grill because he can't walk, obviously, because he'll trip on his laces. And he gets there and he's like, "I just have to stand in this one spot." And he makes a Krabby Patty, and Squidward's like, "Okay, hand it over." But this time, this has never happened before. This is the first episode this has happened. The grill isn't near the window where Squidward puts the orders in. Um, now SpongeBob has to walk over there and hand him the Krabby Patty, which is kind of odd because I don't know why they decided to move it. I think it was just for this episode, which I was fine with, but I just thought it was odd that he decided to move the grill. That the grill wasn't there, like the one episode where SpongeBob really needed the grill there. He had to walk over there, but I think it was to have SpongeBob struggle walking over there because he's going to trip on his laces, and that's what he's afraid of. And it shows kind of like SpongeBob's point of view how Squidward gets further away and his laces become snakes and choke him. So then SpongeBob makes a suggestion, "Hey, how about you come get it?" And Squidward's like, "Oh, sure, SpongeBob." And he talks about all the jobs he can do, like he can make the patties, and live in a pineapple and wear square pants while you wait in the unemployment line. SpongeBob's like, "No." So then Squidward's like, "Then bring that patty here now." So then he starts walking, like rubbing his feet against the floor, and it looks like he's walking, but it really was all like his imagination. And then Squidward gets pissed off, like, "I'm over here now, move," and he's okay. So then SpongeBob tries to carefully move his foot, but he trips on his lace and falls, and the Krabby Patty slingshots right into Squidward's mouth. So then SpongeBob keeps trying to make all the Krabby Patties, and it fails each time and goes into Squidward's mouth. And Squidward gets fat in the span of like 2 minutes, maybe 30 seconds, a minute, from just eating those Krabby Patties. And one of the customers taps him on the back and is like, "What's the holdup?" So then he turns around and he burps in his face and he's like, "I think my heart just stopped." Which makes sense because he just ate like a ton of Krabby Patties. It's probably not healthy to eat that many Krabby Patties in one day. And they like and it wasn't like he took like bites. They like slingshotted in his mouth. They were like one bite in his mouth, and he just and they just went down. So that's why they didn't choke. I mean, it kind of doesn't make any sense they didn't choke, but never gonna figure that out. So then all the customers start yelling at Squidward, and he's like, "It's SpongeBob's fault." So he blamed, which it is. it was not really blaming him, and it actually is his fault. And SpongeBob realizes he's failed, so he starts crying. He apologizes to his spatula, his Krusty Krab hat, and the patties, and the tears go on the floor, and he absorbs them because he's a sponge, which I thought was a nice touch. Because technically, if you cry a lot, you run out of tears, so blood comes out of your eyes. But I wonder if SpongeBob ever runs out of tears, since he can just absorb his tears. So it's like, hey, I can never run out of tears. I'll just absorb my tears, and he does. So that's good stuff. And then Mr. Krabs is in the afterwards though. Mr. Krabs is in the bathroom, probably taking a shit, and he's doing a crossword puzzle. And all the answers he puts down money, like every single one. I don't know why. Well, because he's obsessed with money, but I guess he's so obsessed with money. And then he hears the customers are upset, and he's like, "This is the worst service we ever had. We're going to the chum buckets," which I thought that was awesome that they said that. And Mr. Krabs is like, "Wait!" So then he's like, "Wait, don't go." And Mr. Krabs forgot to pull up his pants when he was in the bathroom. So the customers are like, "Oh yeah, we're definitely out of here." So then they leave, and Mr. Krabs is like, "Wait, don't go. That's my money knocking out the door." He's all pissed. So he asks Squidward what happened, and Squidward tells him it's SpongeBob's fault. And he orders SpongeBob out there because he's all pissed. And he only goes out there a little, like he goes out there like a quarter, a lot, and he's like, more, so then he's like, all the way, and he goes out there. I'll answer that call in a second. So he goes out there, and, actually, I'll answer that call now. Hello? Hi. Yeah. I'll ask if I can come over. I'm just doing something right now when I fit. Oh, you're not? Oh, sorry. Bye. Someone texted me too. Oh, my cousin texted me as well. Okay, so yes, to be honest, I have so much energy. I don't even feel like sitting down anymore. Probably because I drank a lot of coffee. But what was I? Oh, so Mr. Krabs wants to know what's going on, and SpongeBob can't bring himself out to say it. He just keeps saying I, and then I, and then Mr. Krabs gets pissed off and says, "Out with it, boy." So then he tells him he can't tie his shoes, and Mr. Krabs is like, "That's all," and laughs at him. And SpongeBob's like, "So you would show me how?" And Mr. Krabs is like, "I don't wear shoes." So then SpongeBob gets freaked out, and he asks like a bunch of people how to tie his shoes, and he asked like people that wouldn't even wear shoes, like an eel, a fish that just wears fins, jellyfish, which they stun him when he asked, like they can't even answer. It looked like spiders, but I don't know what they're called. Like they could have probably been like underwater spiders, but it couldn't have been it. He asked like this big monster that was in the water that had like a shit ton of eyes. He asked, and then so the monster eats him, and he asked like a skeleton that was like a dead body, like a dead corpse, how to do it, and obviously he couldn't answer because he's dead. And then the monster like shoots SpongeBob out because I guess he had enough of him. Maybe he was annoying or something, and he actually lands on the painting of the head that you see, like when they start off this theme song, which I thought was awesome. It's like, and if you've seen the show, you would know what I'm talking about. So he asked him, but he's like, "Oh," but he's like, "I'm just a painting of a head." So and he says it like a pirate because he's a pirate. So then SpongeBob's like, "Doesn't anyone know how to tie a knot?" So then the Flying Dutchman comes up, and he's asked if he would he's gonna show him how to tie knots, and SpongeBob gets happy, and he goes into like to the huts that you see these huts, and he's like, "You're gonna have to not do that," which is funny, and he told him like a ton of knots. He shows him a shit ton, like a pillow knot, the gut knot, which is just, and it goes into like SpongeBob's gut. the butterfly knot, the pretzel knot, the double diamond knot, the constrictor, which is like the show, monkey, the monkey's chain, the monkey's fist, and the monkey. He just showed him like a shit ton of knots. And then eventually SpongeBob asked him to tie his shoes. But the Flying Dutchman's like, I don't know how to tie my shoes. I haven't worn shoes for like 11,000 years, he says, or something. SpongeBob, but he says sometimes he likes to wear a sock on his ghostly tail. So then he goes away, and then when he goes away, he doesn't like poof away. He gets like smaller when he goes away, which I think is fine. So then SpongeBob gets upset. He's just crawling back home. I wonder how long it took him to get home if he had to crawl home. It was probably like 3 in the morning. And then he's able to open his door too while he's on the crawl. Like, that's sick. So then Gary's annoying him. He's meowing at him like a cat does, like my cat does, because my cat likes to meow a lot, but we still love him. And then eventually when SpongeBob's like, just leave me and my untied shoes alone, Gary. Gary wars at him. Wasn't really like a growl, he just warred at him like a monster, and he got his attention, which is what Gary wanted. He ties his shoes. And SpongeBob's surprised that he can tie his shoes. How did you learn? And we find out Gary actually wears shoes. That was sick. So then SpongeBob asks how he learned, and he plays this country song called Loop De Loop Them Pole that they had made together to show people how to tie their shoes, and it kind of just goes through it. I'm not really going to go through it, really. If you've seen this, if you heard the song, great, but if you haven't, watch this episode and you hear the song. That was the end of the episode. It ended with that song. I do like the song. It's not bad. I just realized now that it was country, but country music's fine. Didn't sound... It was like kind of country, but it wasn't really like country. It was more... Can't really explain what kind of song it was. Because at first it sounded like it was country, but then it didn't really sound like country anymore. That was the end of the episode, though. It just kind of played that song. Patrick, it was a music video. SpongeBob, Gary, and Patrick were all in it. One funny part, I guess, about the music video was Patrick had an ice cream cone and he was waiting for a scoop of ice cream to be put up, but instead it ended up being a shoe. So I wonder how disappointed Patrick was. He must have been pretty disappointed. And that was the end of the episode. I thought it was good. Teaches you how to tie your shoes, kinda, and SpongeBob. I bet if this episode we never would have known that SpongeBob didn't know how to tie his shoes, which I actually kind of don't understand it in a way, because in the Rock Bottom episode he was tying his shoe, but yet he doesn't know how to tie his shoes here. What, did he forget how to tie his shoes? I'm just saying. Yeah, it was fine. If you forget about that, now that I just thought about it, but yeah. So I thought this was good. It was a good way to start off the season, because you always want to start off a season of a TV show with a bang, because if you don't, then it's just going to drag on and on, which is probably what happened with the Cleveland show, but the Cleveland show I heard sucked anyways. I've seen some episodes and it was bad. But we're not talking about the Cleveland show, we're talking about SpongeBob, and I can't wait to see the next episode. And you can check out the other reviews in the playlist. I've even reviewed I reviewed all of Season 1, so you can check out the entire Season 1 episode. And I'll be back to give you my next review next week.